Hello my shadowlings and restless wanderers, welcome back to my channel. I'm Mad Hats Cats and today we'll be becoming an interior designer. I wanted to make a bedroom for my OC who lives on this island, Nora. Because the bedroom has never really meshed with me, I liked some aspects, but I've remodeled this thing twice now and I feel like it was just finally time to fix it. So first things first, we're gonna pick everything up off the floor. We are not gonna let the existential dread set in. And then we're gonna do the much less stressful part of taking everything off of the wall. This is my memorial wall of photos over here. The 6 on the left are my villagers that are staying. That have left and given me their photos, and the villagers on the right that just disappeared were ones that are currently in my village but have given me their photos. And an issue that I constantly have throughout this build is that the remote that I was using, it would pick up, I hit 2 buttons at once, so I would hit the button for opening the build menu, and I would also hit the button for the light at the same time. So it's gonna happen a lot, just a warning. First thing we're gonna do in the build is agonize over flooring for far too long and kind of settle on something that I wasn't super pleased with. The roses at the time were neutral, I guess, so they were easier to work against. I like them better than most of the other flooring options I have. I need to go back and do this thing that I used to do in Timmy and Tommy's shop, where I would just buy all of their flooring and all of their wallpaper, and I wouldn't even look at what it was. I would just buy it and then put it in my inventory. So I'm getting out essential furniture here for the bedroom. I had to have this new bed, the purple one that I'm covering with everything, because I saw it in my friend's shop when they showed me a picture of their Nook shop, and I'm like, oh my god, I have to have that, please give that to me. So it is by no means the focal point of this bedroom build, but I had to have it for my character Nora because it fits so perfectly. And I do plan on telling you a bit more about Nora as the builds go on, because essentially we're going to remodel the entire house to be specifically themed for Nora, so she has a proper place to rest and live. A important thing about Nora is that she loves cute things and also wants to be useful. That's going to become apparent later, but those are the two things that I kind of wanted to focus around this bedroom. I wanted her to have a comfy space that was hers, that still had things that made her happy. So a place where she could sit at a desk and game if she wanted, a place where she could relax and read books, a unhealthy amount of stuffed animals. I technically wanted to fit more in there, but I also wanted it to be functional. So I was also looking for lighting and a TV that I swore I had, but I don't. So that's going to have to added later on in the build. So that's the desk setup right now. I could have customized the bears to fit more into the aesthetics, but I didn't because I feel like she wouldn't really care about what the bears looked like. She's just happy to have them. And she feels she's lucky to have them. The rabbits that they added in with the update along with the bed, they remind me of the Phantom Hive rabbits from Black Butler. I can't be the only one thinking this. And so I wanted more of them, but we have enough bears. I was trying to put that bear, the brown bear, on the couch, And I was like, well, maybe it's like a hitbox thing. Because, like, one of my viewers had requested that you put a bear on the couch. And I thought you could. Like, I genuinely thought you could. Because, like, I know they can go on, like, stools and, like, sorry. I thought they could go on, like, stools and, like, some chairs, but apparently they can't, which is upsetting. So, after far too long of fiddling with the hitbox on this bear, I decided that it would be best if I just left it on the floor for now. But that left the middle of the floor feeling empty. Like, I know you can see it. It looks empty, there's nothing there, so I was like, well, maybe I could put a rug down, and, like, I was also thinking, like, maybe a piece of furniture, but I just didn't know what I wanted with the middle space, so I would try rugs, I would try furniture, and I settled on something that I do think in the end looks pretty good. I settled on a upright piano that was up against the back wall just because in my personal Animal Crossing builds, I like to have the edges of the room decorated instead of like the middle foreground area, just because again I want the space functional, but I also want it to look nice, so having a couch in the middle of the room and a corner that you cannot access because it's full of stuffed animals is groundbreaking for me. The reason why you might have seen the giant space pod is because I joked about adding it to the room and I found it in my storage and remembered it. I was like, oh yeah, that has something to do with her backstory for Nora. So Nora isn't a normal human. She is, I guess, would be best described in D&D terms. She's essentially a warforged or a living doll, which is why I kind of wanted the space pod in her room, just because it would be just the most unsubtle nod to that. But it wouldn't fit in the room, and I didn't want to replace the bear that I had in the corner. So that gets to go somewhere else in the build, probably in the basement, because all the weird stuff goes in basements. We know this. So I've moved on now to decorating the walls. I've reset up my remembrance wall. I have decorated just behind the piano, and I'm just trying to make all the walls feel like not solely Nora's influence. I wanted it to be like some things that she sort of had to have up there because of a different part of her background. So like all of the academic stuff wouldn't be really hers, so like the paintings and the clay figures, but like all the photos would be hers, or like the art pieces. The plaques above the doorways are there because they have to be there, by and large due to her backstory. The final part of the build, which is what we're going to be focusing on for the next like 5 minutes, was because I'd realized far too late into the build that I hadn't adjusted the wallpaper, which was like the two big things I wanted to change was the spooky flooring and the spooky wallpaper. So I was doing an overview and I noticed that I hadn't changed the wallpaper, and I'm like, oh no, I've geared everything around what looks good against the flooring, which I did change, and the wallpaper that I didn't change. So I agonizingly went through all of my walling options, and I didn't like hardly any of them. Like, they were all either the wrong colors, they were too old person-y feeling, especially with the carpeting, and they just, none of them quite had Nora's correct vibe. So after going through literally all the wallpapers I own, which is a significant amount because of the habit at Tommy Nook store that I had earlier, where I would just buy all the walling and flooring and just keep them like stored in my inventory. This one was really cute, the one with the 2 round windows. Amazing, but not for Nora. So I narrowed it down eventually to 2 wallings. One had windows, which is very important for Nora and like her mental state. And then the other one is really good color-wise. It's just, it doesn't vibe with Nora and what she needs. It's too, like, creator-ish. So I narrowed it down to the one with windows, and then I realized I have to change the flooring again. So I essentially undid half of my work at the beginning, and I settled on some black flooring, which works really well with both of the wallpapers that I was torn between. So from here, it's just micro adjusting and me adding in carpeting, because if you're gonna be in a place with flooring, you want some rugs, you know, in the places where you're gonna relax, just so you can be like comfy because it's soft on your feet. Not that it matters much to essentially a living doll or Warforged. But I wasn't like completely sold on it, so my mod, Capturing Soul 2, sent me 2 more wallings in the mail that I tossed up real quick, and then I asked the opinions that people had on them, because I was so torn between them, because I forgot that the Happy Home Designer pack was a thing, and that you could accent walls. Even though I accented walls during... I didn't accent walls during the thing, I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm saying. I asked at the very beginning of my stream if we could accent walls in our home, and I'm like, oh yes we can, perfect, because I knew that I wanted to have an accent wall. So after more needless debate and worrying about whether I could have windows or not, again, Capturing Soul, my little saving grace, reminded me you don't have to choose, you can have both. So I ended up going with this flooring and this room layout with the blue version of this wall, which looks just so much better. Blue is a very calming color. And then I accented the back wall behind the piano to have exactly what I wanted. So I could have the refined, regal walling and still have the windows that were super important to Nora. And with this is the bedroom build. It's perfect for Nora. It has a place for music, it has a place for games, it has the most adorable bed that she can rest on. It has all of my needs in it, which are the villager photos. It has some level of stuffiness, which she has to have. Thank you all for being here. This has been Mad Hat's Cats. Thank you for joining me in this build. The next one we're going to do is going to be the living room. So I hope you join me again next time. Thank you all. If you want to check out these streams live, you can check it in the description. And I'll see y'all next time. Bye!